Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of his ship watching the stars drift by his window. The human fleet moved slowly through space, carrying medical supplies to the outer colonies where alien families needed help. His crew worked quietly around, him checking their instruments and making sure everything ran smoothly. The ship was called Harmony, and it represented everything humans had become in the galaxy. They were the helpers, the fixers, the ones who cleaned up messes that other species could not handle. For 300 years, humans had served the Galactic Council without complaint. They followed every rule, obeyed every order, and never asked for anything in return. Lieutenant Nari walked up to the commander with a data pad in her hands. Her job was to plan their missions and make sure they used the right amount of force to solve problems without hurting anyone. She was very good at math and could calculate exactly how much power they needed to stop bad guys without killing them, sir. "We have received new orders from the Council," she said. "The Vectar colony on Ramon 7 is having trouble with space pirates. They want us to capture the pirates alive and bring them back for trial." Hyunwoo nodded and took the data pad. The orders were very clear as always. No deadly force was allowed. They had to disable the pirate ships without destroying them. They had to capture every pirate without hurting them. They had to do it all without damaging any property on the planet below. This was normal for humans. They always got the difficult jobs with impossible rules. Other species would send their military to blast pirates into space dust. But humans had to be gentle. They had to show mercy even to criminals who showed no mercy to others. Engineer Dongmin was working in the engine room when the new orders came through. He had spent years modifying human weapons to make them less dangerous. His latest invention was a special net that could catch spaceships without harming the people inside. It took him months to build, but the Council loved it because it meant no one had to die. The truth was that humans could end any fight in minutes if they wanted to. Their real weapons were locked away in secret storage rooms. Weapons that could crack planets in half, bombs that could destroy entire fleets, ships that could move faster than anything else in the galaxy. But they never used these things because they believed in being civilized. Other species in the galaxy did not understand how strong humans really were. The reptile-like Vectar thought humans were just very smart animals who could follow orders. The crystal beings called Zephyrians saw humans as entertaining pets who could do tricks. The gas cloud people known as Netheks barely considered humans to be intelligent at all. But humans did not mind being looked down upon. They believed that someday their patience and kindness would earn them respect. They thought that by always doing the right thing, other species would eventually see them as equals. Commander Hyunwoo had faith in this system, even when it made his job much harder. The Harmony reached the Ramon 7 system and found chaos everywhere. Pirate ships were attacking cargo vessels and stealing supplies meant for hungry families on the planet below. The pirates had fast ships and powerful weapons, but they were not very smart. They just flew around shooting at everything they could see. Hyunwoo opened communications with the pirate leader, hoping to solve this without fighting at all. "This is Commander Hyunwoo of the human peacekeeping fleet," he said. "Please stop your attacks and surrender peacefully. No one needs to get hurt today." The pirate leader laughed at him through the radio. "Human fool," he said, "your soft species cannot stop us. We take what we want and kill anyone who tries to stop us. You should run away before we add your ship to our collection." Nari was already calculating firing solutions, but she made sure her targeting computer was set to disable mode only. She could see exactly where to hit each pirate ship to stop their engines without hurting the crew inside. It would be a perfect, clean capture, just like the Council wanted. The battle began with the pirates shooting everything they had at the human ship. Their weapons hit the Harmony hard, making the whole ship shake and spark. But human shields were much stronger than they looked. The ship could take this kind of punishment for hours without serious damage. Dongmin activated his special capture nets and launched them at the pirate ships. The nets wrapped around each vessel like giant spider webs, holding them in place and shutting down their engines. The pirates tried to break free, but the nets were too strong. They were trapped but completely safe. One by one, the human crew disabled every pirate ship. They used stun weapons to knock out the crews and teleported them to holding cells on the Harmony. The whole operation took 3 hours and not a single person died. It was exactly the kind of clean, professional work that humans were famous for. When the last pirate was captured, Hyun-woo sent a message to the Vectar colony governor. Mission accomplished, Sir All. Pirates captured alive, all stolen cargo recovered. No casualties on either side. The colony is safe. The Vectar governor barely thanked him. What took you so long, he asked. My people were scared for hours. You humans are supposed to be fast. Why did this simple task take 3 whole hours? Nari felt something hot and angry rise in her chest. She had planned the perfect operation with 0 deaths and maximum efficiency. Any other species would have just blown up the pirate ships and called it done, but humans had to be better than that. They had to show mercy even when mercy was not appreciated. Dongmin put away his weapons and started repairs on the ship. He wondered what would happen if humans ever decided to stop being gentle. What if they used their real weapons instead of the safe ones? What if they fought like the predators they used to be back on Earth before they joined the galaxy? But these were dangerous thoughts. Humans were civilized now. They were part of something bigger than themselves. They served the Galactic Council because it was the right thing to do, even when other species treated them like servants, even when their patience was never rewarded with respect. The Harmony left Remon 7 and headed back to space dock for their next assignment. There would always be another crisis, another mess for humans to clean up, another chance to prove they were worthy of respect. They never seemed to earn. Commander Hyun-woo looked out at the stars and wondered if someday things would be different. He hoped that eventually other species would see humans as partners instead of tools. He believed that kindness and patience would win in the end. But deep inside the ship, in locked storage rooms, weapons waited, in the darkness. Weapons that could end any fight before it began. Weapons that remembered what humans used to be before they learned to be gentle. And sometimes late at night, when no one was watching, crew members would look at those storage room doors and wonder what would happen if they were ever opened again. The galaxy slept peacefully knowing that humans were watching over them. But the galaxy did not know that it was sleeping next to a volcano that had been quiet for so long. Everyone forgot it could still erupt. Dr. Jae-ho looked up from his research equipment as the morning sun rose over the mining world of Keth 9. The planet was beautiful in its own way, with purple mountains and silver rivers that sparkled in the light. He had been studying the rare minerals here for 6 months and was close to making an important discovery. His research team was small but dedicated. 12 humans who had volunteered to spend 2 years on this remote world, studying rocks that could change the future of space travel. The minerals on Keth 9 were special. They could make spaceships go faster and use less fuel, which would help everyone in the galaxy. The team worked peacefully in their research station, which looked like a small town with laboratories, workshops, and living quarters. Everything was built to be temporary because they would pack up and leave when their work was done. They had permission from the Galactic Council to be here and had filed all the proper papers. Jae-ho was excited about his latest findings. The purple crystals he had been studying were even more powerful than anyone had imagined. Just a small piece could power a spaceship for months. He was preparing his report to send back to Earth when the first explosions shook the ground. Through his laboratory window, he saw black ships descending from the sky like angry insects. The ships were covered in spikes and had red markings that meant death in the language of the Hive-Mar. These were not traders or explorers. These were warriors, coming to take what they wanted. The Hive-Mar were one of the most violent species in the galaxy. They looked like giant insects with hard shells and sharp claws. They believed that might made right and took whatever they could grab. Their philosophy was simple. If you were strong enough to take something, then it belonged to you. Jae-ho grabbed his emergency communicator and sent out a desperate message to the human fleet. This is Dr. Jae-ho on Keth 9. We are under attack by Hive-Mar forces. They came without warning. We need immediate help. 12 human lives are in danger. The Hive-Mar soldiers poured out of their ships like a dark wave. They carried weapons that could melt through metal and wore armor that made them look even more frightening than they already were. They moved with the coordination of insects following their queen, completely focused on their goal. Ho tried to reach the other members of his team, but communications were being jammed. The Hive-Mar had planned this attack carefully. They knew exactly how to cut off all calls for help and trap the humans on the surface with no way to escape. Commander, Hyunwoo received the distress call while his ship was 3 star systems away. He immediately changed course toward Keth 9 and sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council requesting permission to respond with full force. The situation was clear. Human civilians were under attack and needed rescue right away, but the Galactic Council did not move quickly. The representatives from different species had to debate and discuss and consider all the political implications. The Hive Mar were technically members of the galactic community, even though everyone knew they were brutal. The Council had to be careful not to start a larger war. Hours passed. While the Council argued, Hyunwoo paced the bridge of his ship watching the clock and feeling helpless. His engines were already running at maximum speed, but Keth 9 was still hours away. Every minute that passed meant his people were in more danger. Lieutenant Nari tried calling Keth 9 every few minutes but got no response. The silence was worse than screaming would have been. It meant the Hive Mar had taken control of the research station and cut off all communications. She calculated how long it would take them to reach the planet and knew they might already be too late. Engineer Dongmin prepared his non-lethal weapons as ordered, but his hands kept moving toward the controls for the real weapons, the ones locked away behind security codes and council restrictions. He wondered how many humans were dying while they waited for permission to save them. On Keth 9, the situation was getting worse by the hour. The Hive Mar had surrounded the research station and were demanding the humans surrender their mineral samples and research data. Jae-ho tried to negotiate, but the insect soldiers were not interested in talking. The Hive Mar commander was a massive creature with scars covering his black shell. He spoke in a voice like grinding metal. "Human scientist, you will give us everything you have found on this world. Your research, your samples, your data, all of it belongs to the Hive Mar." Now Jae-ho stood as tall as he could and faced the alien warrior. "We are peaceful researchers protected by galactic law. You have no right to be here. This planet was assigned to human study by the proper authorities. Please leave and let us continue our work." The Hive Mar commander laughed a sound. Like breaking glass, galactic law means nothing. The strong take what they want and the weak surrender or die. You soft humans think words on paper will protect you, but only strength matters in the real universe. The attack began without warning. Hive Mar soldiers rushed into the research station, destroying equipment and grabbing everything valuable they could find. The humans tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The planet was surrounded and their communications were cut. Jae-ho sent one final message using a hidden emergency transmitter he had kept secret. "This is Dr. Jae-ho final transmission. The Hive Mar are killing my team. They want our research on the purple crystals. Tell Commander Hyunwoo. We tried to follow the rules, but the rules could not save us." The transmission cut off as Hive Mar soldiers found the hidden transmitter and destroyed it. Jae-ho and his team were now completely alone on a hostile world, with no way to call for help and no hope of rescue arriving in time. 6 hours after the first distress call, the Galactic Council finally sent their response to Commander Hyunwoo: permission granted to proceed to Keth 9 with standard restrictions. Attempt negotiation. First, use minimum necessary force. Avoid collateral damage. Capture attackers alive for trial. Hyunwoo read the message and felt something cold settle in his stomach. 6 hours of debate while his people died. 6 hours of politics while humans were murdered. 6 hours of bureaucracy while the Hive Mar did whatever they wanted to innocent researchers. The human fleet finally arrived at Keth 9 to find the research station in ruins. Buildings were burned and equipment was scattered across the ground like broken toys. The Hive Mar had planted their battle flags in the soil and declared the planet a new colony for their empire. Hyunwoo opened communications with the Hive Mar commander, hoping against hope that some of his people were still alive. "This is Commander Hyunwoo of the human fleet. I demand the immediate release of all human prisoners and your withdrawal from this world." The Hive Mar commander appeared on screen with something that might have been a smile, if insects could smile. "Human fool, your soft researchers are dead. We killed them all and took their precious crystals. This world belongs to the Hive Mar now and you cannot stop us. The commander gestured with one clawed hand, and the screen showed 12 human bodies laid out like trophies. The Hivemar had killed them all and displayed their corpses as symbols of victory. Dr. Jeho lay among them, his eyes still open, staring at the purple sky. Something broke inside every human who saw those images. It was not just anger or sadness. It was something deeper and more dangerous. It was the sound of chains snapping, chains that had held back the true nature of humanity for 300 years. For the first time since joining the galactic community, humans looked at an enemy and remembered what they used to be. Commander Hyunwoo stared at the screen showing the bodies of his people, and something inside him died. The gentle, patient man who had served the galaxy faithfully for decades was gone. In his place stood something older and much more dangerous, something that remembered what humans were before they learned to be civilized. All restrictions are lifted, he said in a voice so quiet his crew had to strain to hear him. His words carried across every human ship in the fleet like a spark hitting dry wood. Show them what Deathworlders really are. Lieutenant Nari felt her hands move to weapon controls she had never been allowed to touch. Her targeting computer switched from stun mode to something that had no name because it was designed to erase targets from existence completely. She began calculating firing solutions using mathematics that could crack planets. Engineer Dong Min entered security codes that had been locked away for 3 centuries. Storage bays opened throughout the human fleet, revealing weapons that other species thought were myths. Ancient human war machines that had slept since the day humanity joined the galactic community awakened for the first time in lifetimes. The Hivemar commander watched the human ships and laughed at what he saw. The vessels looked exactly the same as before. Slow-moving, peaceful research ships with basic weapons and simple shields. He had studied human military records and knew they were no threat to a real warrior species. What the Hivemar did not know was that human ships were built like icebergs. Most of their true power was hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the day it might be needed. That day had finally come, and the galaxy was about to learn why Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. The first human weapon to fire was something called a kinetic lance. It looked like a simple metal rod, but it moved at 30% the speed of light. When it hit the Hivemar flagship, the massive warship simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris, just empty space where a kilometer-long battleship had been a moment before. The Hivemar commander had exactly 1 second to realize his mistake before his ship became scattered atoms. The other Hivemar vessels tried to scatter, but human targeting systems had already locked onto every enemy craft in the system. There would be no escape and no survivors. Nari coordinated the attack with the cold precision of a computer, but the fury of a predator whose pack had been murdered. Her weapons spoke in languages of pure energy and guided destruction. Each shot was calculated to achieve maximum damage with perfect efficiency. The mathematics of death had never been so beautifully applied. Plasma cannons that had been disguised as mining lasers revealed their true purpose, burning through Hivemar armor like paper. Each blast carried enough energy to power a small city, but it was all focused into beams no wider than a pencil. The enemy ships died with surgical precision. Missile systems activated across the human fleet, launching weapons that could think and adapt and hunt their targets through impossible maneuvers. The missiles looked like silver fish swimming through space, following the Hivemar ships no matter how they tried to run. Each missile carried enough explosive power to level a mountain. The Hivemar tried to fight back, but their weapons bounced harmlessly off human shields that were no longer pretending to be weak. Energy barriers that had seemed basic and simple suddenly revealed themselves to be nearly impenetrable walls of force. Human defensive systems had been hiding their true strength for centuries. One Hivemar cruiser managed to land a direct hit on a human destroyer. The crew braced for impact, expecting to see their ship torn apart. Instead, the enemy beams scattered like light hitting a mirror. The human ship did not even slow down. Human shields were designed to stop weapons that could crack. Moon's Dong Min unleashed technologies that the galaxy had never seen, gravity weapons that could crush enemy ships into balls of twisted metal. Energy drains that could suck the power out of an entire fleet, leaving them dead in space. Nanobots that could eat through enemy hulls and turn warships into clouds of dust. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. From the moment Hyunwoo gave the order to the moment the last HFY ship died, it took less time than most species needed to plan. A simple attack. The human fleet had moved like a pack of wolves finally released from their chains, but this was not just about superior weapons or better technology. This was about the fundamental difference between a species that chose to be gentle and a species that was forced to be weak. The HFY had never faced opponents who held back their true nature until pushed beyond all limits. Every human in the fleet felt the same cold fire burning in their chest. They were not fighting for territory, or resources, or political advantage. They were fighting for 12 murdered researchers who had trusted the system to protect them. They were fighting for every human who had ever died while the galaxy debated. The HFY reinforcements arrived. Halfway through the battle, a full battle fleet with hundreds of ships carrying thousands of warriors. They had come to claim their victory and divide the spoils. Instead, they found the wreckage of their advance force scattered across the system, like broken toys. The reinforcement commander opened communications expecting to negotiate with the humans. He thought he understood surrender now, human fools, he said. You are outnumbered 50-1. Your small fleet cannot hope to defeat the might of the HFY Empire. Hyunwoo looked at the alien commander with eyes that held no mercy, no patience, and no trace of the gentle giant he used to be. You killed my people, he said. You murdered innocent researchers and displayed their bodies like trophies. Now you learn what happens when you wake a sleeping predator. The second wave of the battle was even more one-sided than the first. Human ships moved through the HFY fleet like sharks through a school of fish. Each human vessel seemed to be everywhere at once, striking from impossible angles with weapons that defied understanding. Nari had stopped thinking of the enemy as living beings. They were problems to be solved, equations to be balanced. Her targeting computer identified the most efficient way to destroy each ship, and she executed those solutions with mathematical perfection. The HFY died in the most efficient possible way. Some of the human weapons were so advanced they seemed like magic to observers. Energy, beams that could bend around obstacles and strike from behind point defense systems that could stop thousands of incoming missiles simultaneously. Shields that grew stronger the more they were attacked. The HFY tried everything they knew. Ramming, attack suicide runs, concentrated bombardments that should have been able to destroy planets. Nothing worked. Human ships danced through the enemy fire untouched, while their return shots never missed, never failed to kill. Within minutes, the second HFY fleet was reduced to glowing wreckage scattered across the Keth-9 system. The humans had not lost a single ship, had not taken any significant damage. The battle had been less of a fight and more of an extermination. When the last enemy ship exploded, the human fleet fell silent. The fury that had driven them was satisfied but not gone. It had simply settled into their bones, becoming part of who they were. The gentle giants of the galaxy had remembered their true nature and would never forget it again. Hyunwoo looked at the empty space where 2 HFY fleets had been destroyed in less than an hour. He thought about Dr. Jae-ho and the other researchers who would never see their families again. Their deaths had been avenged, but the price of that vengeance was the end of everything. The galaxy thought it knew about humanity. The human fleet turned toward home, carrying news that would shake every civilization in known space. The Deathworlders had stopped playing gentle, and the galaxy would never be the same. The news of what happened at Keth-9 spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Emergency meetings were called on every civilized world as species leaders tried to understand what they had just witnessed. For 3 centuries, they had thought they knew humanity. Now they realized they had been living next to sleeping giants who had just awakened on the crystal world of Zephyr Prime. The ruling council gathered in their tower of living light. The Zephyrians had always seen humans as amusing pets who could perform interesting tricks. Now they watched recordings of the battle with growing horror, realizing that their pet predators had been capable of destroying them all along. The reptilian Vectar Empire called an emergency session of their war council. Their greatest military minds studied the human weapons and tactics, trying to find weaknesses or ways to defend against such overwhelming power. What they found instead was the terrifying truth that humans had been playing with them for centuries. Even the gas beings of the Nethek collective, who rarely cared about solid matter affairs, began calculating how quickly human ships could reach their home nebula. The answer was days, not years, and their ancient civilization suddenly felt very fragile. The Galactic Council building on the neutral station of Harmony Point buzzed with activity as representatives from hundreds of species demanded answers. How had humans hidden such devastating military capability? Why had no intelligence service detected these weapons? How had the most powerful species in the galaxy been fooled for 3 centuries? Admiral Tsen Ki of the Vectar fleet stood before the assembled council, his scales pale with fear. "I have reviewed all available data on the Keth-9 incident," he said. "The human weapons we observed should not exist according to our understanding of physics. Their ships moved in ways that violate the laws of space combat." The Zephyrian ambassador flickered with nervous energy. "We demand an explanation from the human representative. How dare they deceive the Council by hiding their true military strength? This is a violation of every treaty they have signed." But when they called for the human representative, they found that Commander Hyunwoo was already on his way. He had not asked for permission to address the Council. He had simply announced he was coming. The man who had once waited patiently for orders now gave commands that others followed. Hyunwoo entered the council chamber alone without the usual diplomatic escort or ceremonial guards. He wore his simple human uniform and carried no weapons, but every representative in the room felt afraid. The gentle giant they had known was gone, replaced by something that looked the same but felt completely different. The Vectar Prime Minister spoke first, trying to sound authoritative. "Human Commander, you will explain why your species has hidden these weapons from the galactic community. Such deception is grounds for expulsion from civilized space." Hyunwoo looked at the reptilian leader with eyes that showed no emotion, no respect, and no fear. "We hid nothing," he said. "Your species simply never asked the right questions. You assumed that because we followed your rules. We were weak. You confused restraint with inability." The council chamber fell silent as Hyunwoo continued. "For 300 years, we played by your rules. We used weapons designed to disable, not destroy. We fought wars designed to minimize casualties, not achieve victory. We trusted in your system and your justice, but yesterday your system failed," he said. His voice grew colder with each word. 12 of my people died while you debated for 6 hours. 6 hours of politics, while innocent researchers were murdered. 6 hours of bureaucracy while the killers planted flags on human graves. The Zephyrian ambassador tried to interrupt. "The Council must consider all implications before authorizing military action. We cannot simply rush into violence whenever humans demand it." Hyunwoo turned to face the crystal being, and the ambassador actually stepped backwards. "Your consideration killed my people," he said. "Your careful deliberation gave murderers time to complete their work. Your system values process more than life, and that system ends today." Lieutenant Nari entered the chamber carrying a large data crystal. Her mathematical mind had been busy since Keth-9, calculating exactly how the galaxy would change now that humans had revealed their true nature. She set up a holographic display that filled the center of the room. The display showed detailed military assessments of every major species in the galaxy. Each civilization was analyzed with clinical precision, showing their fleet strength, defensive capabilities, and strategic weaknesses. The numbers were terrifying in their accuracy and completeness. The Vectar have 473 warships distributed across 12 sectors, Nari said in a voice like a computer reading data based on current human military assets. Their entire fleet could be neutralized in approximately 4 days. She moved to the next display. The Zephyrian crystal ships number 2,800, but their energy-based hulls are vulnerable to specific frequencies. Total elimination time approximately 2 days, one by one. She went through every species in the galaxy. The mighty Korvax Empire with their famous invincible fleet could be destroyed in less than a week. The ancient ethereal union would last perhaps 3 days. The proud warrior clans of the Skull Nebula would be extinct within hours. The council representatives listened in growing horror as Nari explained exactly how their civilizations would fall. She spoke about their military secrets, their hidden bases, their most classified defensive systems, as if she had the complete plans for everything they had ever built. "How do you know all of this?" asked the ethereal ambassador, his gaseous form trembling with shock. "Our defensive networks are completely secret. No outsider has ever penetrated our security." Nari looked at him with something that might have been pity. "We have been watching you for 3 centuries, she said. Every species that joined the galactic community opened their files to human peacekeepers. You gave us access to everything because you trusted your gentle giants. The truth was even worse than that. Humans had not just been given access to classified information. They had been asked to help design defensive systems for dozens of species. The galaxy had literally handed the keys to their own destruction to the people they saw as harmless servants. Engineer Dongmin joined them carrying a case full of technical displays. He opened it to reveal holographic blueprints for weapons that made the Keth-9 battle look like a gentle demonstration. Planet crackers that could shatter worlds, star killers that could make suns go supernova, reality bombs that could erase entire star systems from existence. "These are just the weapons we built during our first 100 years in space," Dongmin said casually. "We stopped making them when we joined the galactic community. We thought we had evolved beyond such things, but the blueprints still exist and we remember how to build them." The Korvax military advisor studied the technical specifications with growing terror. According to these plans, human weapons could destroy our home system from a distance of 50 light years. How is such technology even possible? Dongmin smiled for the first time since Keth-9. "You species developed technology to make life easier," he said. "Humans developed technology to kill things that were trying to kill us. We come from a death world where everything wants to eat you. Our science reflects that heritage." The council chamber erupted in panic as representatives realized the full scope of what they were facing. Humans had not just hidden superior weapons, they had concealed technological advancement that was centuries ahead of everyone else. They had been playing in the minor leagues while possessing major league capabilities. Hyunwoo raised his hand, and the room fell silent again. "The old rules are finished," he said. "From now on, human forces will respond to threats with whatever level of force we deem appropriate. We will not ask permission. We will not wait for debate. We will not allow politics to delay justice." The Vectar Prime Minister tried one last attempt at authority. "The Council does not accept these new terms. Human forces will continue to follow established protocols or face sanctions." Hyunwoo looked at him with the patience one might show a small child. "What sanctions?" he asked. "What exactly do you think you can do to us?" The question hung in the air unanswered because everyone in the room knew the truth. There was nothing they could do. Humanity had revealed that they had been choosing to follow the rules not because they had to, but because they wanted to, and now they had chosen to stop. 5 years had passed since the day at Keth-9 when everything changed. The galaxy that emerged from that moment was completely different from the one that had existed before. Humans did not conquer anyone because they did not need to. The simple knowledge of what they could do was enough to reshape every relationship, every treaty, and every balance of power. Commander Hyunwoo sat in his new office on Earth, looking out at the planet that had become the unofficial capital of the galaxy ships. From every known species came and went from the orbital stations, bringing gifts, trade offers, and desperate requests for human protection. The man who had once begged for permission to save his own people now had the power to decide the fate of entire civilizations. The Vectar Republic had been the first to adapt. They arrived at Earth just weeks after Keth-9 with an offer that would have been unthinkable before: exclusive mining rights to their rarest worlds, complete access to their military, technology, a formal alliance that placed them under human protection in exchange for absolute loyalty. Prime Minister Calves of the Vectar stood in Hyunwoo's office with his head bowed in the traditional gesture of submission. "Commander, we offer everything we have in exchange for your friendship. Our empire places itself under human guidance." Hyunwoo accepted the offer graciously, but without the gratitude he might have shown years earlier. The gentle giant, who had once been amazed by alien respect, was gone, replaced by someone who expected it as his natural due. The galaxy had taught him that power was the only language everyone understood. The Zephyrian Crystal Alliance came next, offering technological secrets they had guarded for thousands of years. Their ambassador flickered with nervous energy as she presented data crystals containing the knowledge of how to build living ships that could repair themselves and grow stronger over time. "We offer our greatest treasures to humanity," the ambassador said. "Our people wish to stand beside the galaxy's true leaders. We have seen what happens to those who oppose human will, and we choose wisdom over pride." Even the ancient ethereal union bent the knee. Their representatives arrived in ships made of pure energy, carrying offers of scientific knowledge that could revolutionize human understanding of space and time. The beings who had once considered humans barely intelligent now competed desperately for human attention. Lieutenant Nari had been promoted to admiral and now commanded the human diplomatic corps. Her mathematical mind proved perfect for managing the complex web of alliances that formed around human power. She calculated exactly how much each species could offer, and what they needed in return. The new system worked with brutal efficiency. When the warlike Korvax Empire tried to expand into neutral space, human ships appeared within hours. The Korvax fleet found themselves surrounded by vessels that could destroy them all without breaking formation. Admiral Nari opened communications with a simple message. "Withdraw immediately or be destroyed," she said. There was no negotiation, no debate, no chance for discussion. The Korvax withdrew and never tried to expand again. The galaxy learned that human warnings were not suggestions, they were final statements. Engineer Dongmin had become the galaxy's most important person, though few beings ever saw him. He worked in secret laboratories developing new technologies that kept humanity ahead of any possible competition. His latest creation was a defensive system that could protect entire star systems from any attack. The best part of Dongmin's work was that other species helped fund it. The Vectar provided rare metals. The Zephyrians offered energy crystals. The Ethereals shared mathematical concepts that made impossible things possible. Everyone contributed to their own containment, believing they were earning human friendship. Trade flourished under the new system, but it flowed in directions that would have been impossible before human merchants received the best deals on everything. Alien species competed to offer lower prices, better quality, and faster delivery to their human customers. The economy reorganized itself around human preferences. Young beings of all species grew up learning human language as their first foreign tongue. Universities across the galaxy offered courses in human culture, human history, and human philosophy. The species that had once looked down on humanity now studied them with desperate intensity, trying to understand their new masters. But this was not a galaxy ruled by fear alone, though fear played its part. Humans proved they could destroy anyone who opposed them, but they also proved they would protect those who served them faithfully. When pirates attacked a Vectar colony, the human response was swift and total. The pirates were eliminated so completely that other criminals stopped raiding Vectar space entirely. The Zephyrian worlds became the safest places in the galaxy under human protection. Their crystal cities grew larger and more beautiful than ever before. Artists from across the known worlds came to study in Zephyrian academies, knowing that human ships patrolled the space lanes, keeping everyone safe. Peaceful trade vessels could travel anywhere without fear, because everyone knew that attacking a ship under human protection meant facing consequences too terrible to consider. The galaxy had never been safer or more prosperous, but that safety came with the understanding that it existed only because humans allowed it. Commander Hyun-woo established the new human doctrine that governed galactic relations. Human forces would respond to any threat with overwhelming power, designed to end conflicts quickly and permanently. There would be no more lengthy negotiations while innocent people died. No more restraint that others mistook for weakness. Enemies would receive exactly one warning before facing complete destruction. The galaxy learned this lesson when the Skull Nebula clans tried to raid a human research station. The warning came at noon, and the clans were extinct by sunset. Admiral Nari calculated the most efficient way to eliminate them and executed that plan with mathematical precision. Children across the galaxy grew up hearing the story of Keth 9, as a lesson about the dangers of mistaking kindness for weakness. Their teachers explained how the gentle giants had been predators all along, just predators who chose to hunt only when necessary. The story became a universal cautionary tale. Dr. J. Ho and his research team were remembered as the 12 people whose deaths changed the course of galactic civilization. Monuments were built on 100 worlds honoring their sacrifice. Universities were named after them. Their families received honors from species who had never even met them. The human research program on Keth-9 was completed using the notes that Dr. J. Ho had died protecting the purple crystals he discovered, became the foundation for new technologies that revolutionized space travel. His work lived on, even though he could not see its completion. Years passed and the galaxy settled into its new rhythm. Humans remained the dominant power not through constant displays of force, but through the simple knowledge that they could end any threat whenever they chose to. Other species prospered under human protection and learned to see their new role as natural and beneficial. Ambassador Chen Ho of the Ethereal Union said it best during a ceremony marking the 5th anniversary of Keth-9. Before that day, we thought we knew what humanity was. We saw gentle giants who followed our rules and served our interests. We were wrong, and the galaxy is better for learning the truth. The truth was that humans had always been apex predators who chose to hunt only when hunting was necessary. They had spent 3 centuries being the galaxy's gentle giants, proving that civilization could triumph over instinct. But when civilization failed to protect the innocent, the predators remembered who they really were. The galaxy was safer now, more peaceful and more prosperous than it had ever been in recorded history. But every species remembered the lesson of Keth-9 that sometimes the most dangerous thing about a predator is not knowing it is a predator until it decides to stop pretending to be. Prey humans had been gentle giants for 3 centuries. Now they were simply giants, and the galaxy was better for understanding the difference.